So I'm John Banmen, and I hope to have your attention for the next 50 minutes in my talk about your conference. Your model or your title of your conference, he says, the Satir model, the pathway to living. The pathway to living suggests that we're living somewhere and we're going somewhere. And so I'd like to look at where are we going, how do we get there, and how can the Satir model help us to achieve our goal. So for people who haven't known this, or people, let me just tell you a little about Virginia Satir. Virginia Satir was the pioneer in family therapy and started worldwide trying to teach Satir, the model, as a systemic way to help people grow and to become more fully human or to become more congruent. She was born in 1916. She died early in 1988. And her model has grown a little and deepened a little, and some of the things I'd like to talk to you about today. I have two big questions. So the way I would like to look at it is that pathway to living happy, pathway to living healthy, pathway to living successfully. So I'm adding a little bit to your title of your conference, and I hope you don't mind too much if I do this. The whole idea is, who are we and how do we experience ourselves? So I want to make sure that might be a little more my focus today, knowing that so many of you already know so much about the Satir model. So I'm telling you, I will not be teaching the stances, how to blame, how to placate, how to be super reasonable, and so forth, even though we've added two more stances that we could look at, especially for psychiatrists. One of the stances that we've added is narcissistic personality, and that is seemingly a growing mental problem. So we have looked at what that is all about. And during your questions, you might want to ask me about it. But take a look at who are you? And very often when you answer that question, you give me a role. You tell me I am a father, I'm a doctor, I'm a this, I'm a this. We identify ourselves as who we are through a role. Well, maybe we are more than that. We are more than that. We are human beings, or we are in a human form experiencing ourselves. And in our kind of talk, we want to look at how can we divide these questions into two parts. That is kind of a duality. Most of us live in constant duality. Duality means you and me in duality, me and my belongings in duality. There's always an I and a it, or I and a you aspect of it. In terms of who we are, we have some ideas that maybe we're all connected. So Satir said one time, many times maybe, that we are connected. Actually, I can slow down and tell you a little about, she says, we have survival as a drive. We have growth as a drive. and we have connection as a drive. Now, can you look at connection as a deeper level than relationship? I have a relationship, and many people look at Satir model as a relational model. We're relating in terms of the family, in terms of others. But I feel that if you look at a little deeper, you might be talking about connection at the energetic level. We are connected in terms of that. Okay, we also might be in terms of closer connection in quantum physics. We're all the same. We're part of the whole in terms of that. The image that I like to look at is that we are the ocean in the form of a drop. Let me say that again. We are the ocean in the form of a drop. And once we merge with the ocean, we're back to the ocean. So can we look at we are the ocean in form of a drop. We are human form having a spiritual experience, or we are spiritual humans having a human experience. So there's a constant there, the constant of life energy. That life energy has human experiences. And what we want to do at the one level of therapy is we want to change our experience. We are not our experience. We are life energy having an experience. And we could have lots of experiences. I made a little list here just to tell you. Okay, I experienced sadness, loneliness, anger, fear, excitement, pride, confusion, laziness, maybe luckiness, ambition, depression, anxiety. Those are our experiences. And from a center of being energy, we want to manage those experiences. We want to bring our experiences in tune with who we are. We are life energy, and we're having human experiences that are out of tune. And we want to bring them into harmony with who we are. So basically, if I look at what is Satir model is a way of getting in tune with who we are, taking our experiences and making them more in tune with who we are. So that becomes like Satir model talks about the third birth. The third birth is one way of taking responsibility so that we can become who we really are. So my idea is to see if we can look at who we are as a steady essence, having experiences that seem to happen to us through our environment and through our relationship and our internal process, and that we will find a way to be in charge. And then maybe we can look at how can we co-create a new self, a self that is basically more genuine, more basic, more real, more fully human. So in terms of that, we have had, and many of you already know, we had a metaphor that was helping us to do this. So if you look at a metaphor of an iceberg, that would be very helpful. Can you show me that for now? Okay. See if you can. There it is. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, now look at the little sayings I have on the side first. Human beings having a human experience, or human beings having a spiritual experience, or spiritual beings having a human experience. What is your answer? So I'm kind of asking you to look at this. I will probably lean more to the third one, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And the metaphor, the iceberg metaphor, is a way to look at our experience. And I'm just going to look at it linearly. That's like up and down. But when we get to it, you'll find out it's very systemic. You trigger one thing, then you go to the other aspect of it. So what we've done is we have taken, okay, the metaphor means that whatever is above the water is usually visual. So we have the behavior, all our activities, they're above, they're being seen. And then we have our coping, which we can come back to later and see how we cope with our experience. But when you look at the next line, is something that we hadn't put into our iceberg, even though Virginia Satir used body sensation all the time. It was so obvious that we never even put it in the iceberg. But now it's time that we show that the body also has lots of experience, and we can get a lot of reading from the body being out of tune with our real experience. So we look at the body. Then, of course, the old one is feeling. How do you feel? And you have the positive kind of feeling, you have your negative feeling. Feelings belong to us, and we can manage them. And then what Satir came along with, which was very new, and it's still pretty new, that we talk about feelings about feelings. When I feel angry, I might feel ashamed. If I feel angry, I might feel afraid. I have a feeling about our feeling. Sometimes if we have low self-esteem, that feeling about the feeling becomes very strong. And so what we need to know is find out how you feel about a feeling, and then we'll talk about change. Then next one I have here is perception. How do I think? How do I see things? And how do I look at things? And then we have a new stuff that we found was very necessary, and that was beliefs. We needed to find out how to change a belief, because belief is our attitude towards ourselves, the world, and others, and we might have to change a lot of our beliefs. Okay. Then I have on the next one is expectation, and we have yearnings. And then below that is the I am, the who I am. Who am I? Who are you? So what I'm proposing to you is that we look at the iceberg into two aspects. The I am at the bottom, and all the rest above as the experience. And in therapy, mostly, we are talking about the experience, how to change your experience in terms of doing that. So how do you find out how you experience things? We came up with a bunch of questions. We call them process questions. We even have a new booklet. We had an old one that was that was that is now printed in terms of how to ask process questions. Process questions are a way of asking experience questions. How do you feel? How do you feel? How do you think? What do you want? What do you expect? Those are questions to elicit your experience. What some people didn't learn is once you know how you experience it, what do you do with that? What do you do with the experience? Well, let me give you a little recipe so that people can learn how to do it better. One of the things that you need to do, I think, is when you experience something, you have to accept it. What Satir was so good at is saying, you can accept an experience. I accept that I'm angry. I don't have to like it. I can accept that my father is dying, but I don't have to like it. I accept that I can't do this, but I don't have to like it. So that unless you accept it, it's very hard to deal with it. So what we're trying to do is to say, how can you accept what is going on? And so once you can accept it, then you want to look at what is happening with it. You want to look at what do you need to do in order to change it in terms of making it working for you. And so the next step after you look at accepting it is basically looking at what would you like it to be? And then once you have that, what would you like it to be? Then you go from there to how would you like it to be? And then what do you need in order for you to change it? And then let's do it. So there is a step by step on how to find out how you experience yourself and then how you can transform that experience to an acceptable way or to change it to a better way so that it's in harmony with who you are. So basically, our therapy then is changing our experience from a negative, out of tune experience to a positive experience of radiating your life energy. A more difficult thing, which I hope we can do, is to look at the self and see how can you work with the self, the I am. The I am is always steady, but it manifests itself differently. So we want to change the manifestation of the energy of the self. And I think we can do that. We will then co-create our own reality so that we can really find a way to be our genuine true self so that we can look at that, how that happens. So in the old days, sometime okay, let me talk about the map you have right here. We are built, our identity comes through our experience. We have a certain amount of genetic material that we bring into this world, but basically we are our experience. That could be very positive, it could be very negative, it could be very filled with trauma, it could be very healthy and loving, but we become who we experience, how we experience ourselves. So we're all a result, a lot of result of our experience. And so in our epigenetic science that we're learning about, we're finding that some of these genetic aspects can also be changed, the impact of them. So what we want to learn a lot is how to either reduce negative impact or replace negative impact with positive ones. I think we should be able to do both in terms of being able to let go of negative things and replace them with. So I sometimes say it, we need to fix things and we need to grow things. Grow in terms of being more positive, fix resolving old negative impacts that we can have. So basically, Satir model has basically said we need to be a better choice maker so that we can be more responsible, that we can be more congruent, and that we can have higher self-esteem. I think I have a slide on that, and we can look at it a little later on in terms of, okay, do you want to find it for me? Okay, but could be, there it is. Okay, so our Satir model says, let's build self-esteem. That's how I perceive myself. And choice maker is how I empower myself, and so to be responsible, so that I can act in the best interest of my deeper self, and how I can be in tune, congruent with my deeper self. So it's not being congruent with my anger; it's being congruent with who I am in terms of doing that. So in terms of family, if you go back to my family map, I want to say a few things there. There, we have this, the bottom is the client at the bottom, and he or she, this is a he, is having experiences in the environment, in the family constellation, and those experiences start building our identity or even our personality. And so in Satir model, it's important that we have a way to take those experiences and make them either no power, no valence, no negative energy, to neutral, and that usually is enough for most clients, or to build it to a higher one. So to me, the family of origin is a really important piece of work, because that's where you find you do learn or you do build your identity. And we want to change your identity in the Satir model. Now, let's take a look at that idea. I just threw that in because most of you know the mandala. The mandala is just aspects of our experience, and it's very often used as a way of taking a reading. How do you manage your different domains so that you can put them in order, so that you can be congruent, and so you could manage them. It starts from the I am, who I am, again. That's our base. We are maybe spiritual beings in human form, and we have experiences in these various domains, and we have to be responsible for them. Or we can use them as resources for us to live a kind of life we want to live. So let's see if we want to be happy. So see if you can give me the first slide about happiness. So, okay, we can go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. There. Okay. Human goals of happiness are based on our experience. And so I've looked at different levels of happiness. So some people feel that our goal is to be happy. Happy would be meaning that we are radiating, manifesting our life energy. But we have layers of happiness. And so you want to look at people who have different levels of happiness. And I think I put them into kind of order. The first kind of happiness is pleasure. If I go to a holiday on a cruise, I have experiences of pleasure. If I go and climb a mountain and I'm healthy enough to do so, I have an experience that gives me pleasure. So one form of happiness is through pleasure. I go out and have a meal, some Thai restaurant, and I try some new dishes, and it provides me pleasure. So one part of our goal is to achieve happiness through pleasure. They're sometimes short-lived, and we have to repeat them, but they are still providing us with a goal of being happy. Another level is possession. If I have a new car, I might be happy. If I have a new house, I might be happy. If I have new things, I might be happy. We have a great idea. We'll work hard to buy things so we can be happy. We work long hours so we can afford things so that we can be happy. But some people find that too fleeting, so they go for happiness through achievement. And they will try to get an achievement through some form of performance. So it could be academic, it could be financial, it could be all kinds of aspects of it. But achievement somehow brings us happiness. And the next level is our relationships. A lot of people achieve their happiness through relationships. And so what we want to do is use the Satir model to help people achieve better relationships so that they can manifest their life energy at the deeper level. And another one that I really would like to encourage you or give you people, a lot of you people, a lot of credit is the contribution you're making to the wellness of other people. You're making a contribution. And it seems like either when I get older, contributions are more important, or when I get more congruent, contributions are more important. But I'm finding that contributions provide a lot of happiness for a lot of people who are making an effort to help others. And then I have no reason to be happy for no reason. Being oneself, just manifesting your own life energy, sitting there and being busy doing nothing, just being in touch, in tune with the universe. No reason, just being. Some of you people can experience that into your Buddhist practice. When you are in a state of transcendence, you find that you don't need any reason to be happy. You are happy in itself, aspect of it. If you meditate and you get into a state of being that is so peaceful and you are beyond thought, you're beyond action, beyond feeling, you have no reason to, you are just happy. So in terms of Satir model, we look and say, okay, at what level do we need to help you to be happy? And can we go down the line to get at least the level of contribution? And no reason, meaning, purpose, could be no reason. Then we would achieve some kind of level of congruence if we can do that. So now, before we do that one, let me show us the 5 icebergs. Okay, so we looked at it. Now, this is more maybe for the clinician than for the public, but see if I can explain what's happening aspect of it. When Satir model began, it started with what I call Iceberg 2, moving people from Iceberg 2 to Iceberg 3. Iceberg 2 is when you're in survival. You are working on levels of habits. Stances are usually your way of coping. You're disconnected from yourself, and you experience every day as a reality. Whatever is there is reality. The matter, it matters like concretely is your own reality, and you are basically pleasure-based. So you're trying to get your pleasure by reducing your pain and your survival aspect of it. So we have seen that maybe most of our clients are at Iceberg 2, needing to move to Iceberg 3. With the psychiatrists in the group, we find that many of your clients are in Iceberg 1. You have more than just survival issues, you have mental illness issues, and you might try to help them through medication, but possibly with good Satir therapy, we can move Iceberg 1 to Iceberg 2 to Iceberg 3. And I think some of you are doing a very good job about doing this. This is just giving you a conceptual frame how that is working. So Iceberg 3 is what Satir used to call the third birth. Third birth is these 4 meta goals that we talked about. We achieve that in terms of helping people change their experience so that they can become more fully human, they can be more themselves, their true self, in terms of that. Now, what I'm interested in my later years is to see if the Satir model can also be an Iceberg 4 function. The Iceberg 4 function could be called co-create your own reality. Not just cope with it, not just manage it, not just be in charge of you, but actually co-create your own experience. So if you can create your own experience in Iceberg 4, then what you would be doing is you would be able to create joy, you would be able to create bliss, you would be able to create peace in yourself through a method of changing your experience. And I was hoping, and I'm still hoping, that when we broaden our perspective of the Satir model, we would really have an idea that we could become co-creators of our own reality. Co-creating is I co-created with the universe, not with my father or with my wife, but with the universe, that we create it with life energy so that we can have our own sense of being, so that we are congruent at the fourth birth. The fourth birth is called, at this time, is consciousness. So Satir, before she died, she had left a lot of notes in her house where she had hoped to write something about fourth birth or so. So she had all these notes, and they were all to do with third birth. And then at the end, she said, but there is a fourth birth, and that is consciousness. Consciousness is being one with the universe. And so maybe we can look at that as a possibility for Satir model to become more at the level of the fourth birth, consciousness in its length. Now, with so many of you being Buddhists, I think you probably understand this idea much better than the rest of the world. So I don't know what else I should say right now for you to grasp my concept of what's happening and what could happen in terms of transformational therapy. Okay, so at the end, then, of course, there's enlightenment or peak experiences where we feel a unity of being. In some of your meditation people, you probably have had many of these little ones. They usually last very little or short time, but they are basically an experience of unity of the universe, cosmic consciousness, fourth birth, ecstasy, bliss, transcendence, peak experience. There would be examples of that. So in my conceptual frame, I'm looking at, okay, we know pretty well how to do Iceberg 2 therapy. So you people know more about doing Iceberg 1 therapy than most people that I know of, or all of people that I know of, in terms of a group. So we have number 1 covered, I think, in Thailand, and we are definitely could be good at Iceberg 2 to bring people to Iceberg 3. And when we bring people back to Iceberg 3, we feel we have achieved our goal, and maybe we have, but the possibility is that you can work at it from a higher level, a further level, to go into Iceberg 4 and admit or acknowledge that there could be an Iceberg 5 in terms of doing that. So I hope that that is enough of a picture of where maybe the Satir model is going in terms of doing this. So very simply, let's go back to square one. You become aware of, let's say, that's good. Let's go there. We become aware of what we are experiencing. Awareness is our basic thing. Some people feel that we're only aware of 5% of our experience. I don't know if that's a little too low, but most of us are not very aware. And so the first thing is to teach your clients how they feel and what they think and how they breathe. So my first kind of major intervention that is therapeutic is, are you aware of your breathing? And can you change it? Are you aware of your feelings? Are you aware of your thinking? And I have found the more focused I am to help people ask those 3 questions, the more I find that they're not really aware. It's all automatic. It's habitual. It happens every day, and we get so used to it. So I'm trying to help people become aware of their internal experience. Then I sometimes go deeper then from the iceberg, and I look at, Okay, what are their perception and their beliefs and their expectation, and so that I surface their experience. Because what we want to do is we want to get them into harmony with themselves or to be happy so that they can manifest themselves in a way that will help them be happy. So very often people come to you and they come to you as a problem. They have a problem. Satir says, problem is not the problem. But let's not throw that away, because some of my teachers, some of my students becoming teachers, they sort of say that Satir says the problem is not the problem, and then let's go to the next stage. Well, the clients, to be very truthful, the clients experience the problem as a problem. And we need to accept that that is so for them. So I want us not to just to throw it away. So you work with the problem as the problem. Then I hope you can go to the problem is not the problem. Let's look at what is the next part. And then when you have problem is not the problem, what are we doing this for? And then we're finding that that is a dysfunctional solution. The problem is a dysfunctional solution. Committing suicide is a dysfunctional solution. Anxiety is a dysfunctional solution. Depression is a dysfunctional solution. So now, if that's a dysfunctional solution, so I'm going to try to help you find a more positive way of dealing with your perceived problem. And that is helping you change your experience so that you are in tune with your natural self. So for me then, to go from problem is the problem to I am light, I am energy, I am essence, I am life force, and I will manifest itself in that aspect of it. So our process questions surface our experience. Our experience help us to feel what has to change. What is changed, we will find substitutes so that they can be positive. If we can go far enough, then we can co-create our own reality so that our experience are in tune with who we are. That would be basically my idea of what the Satir model is about. Now let me see if I have anything in it. In my last page here, I try to say, okay, now let's take a look at what some of the things that you could do quickly. So, unmet expectation. I want something, and I either find a way to get there or to let go. Most of the clients that come to me and maybe come to you, you have to let go of expectation, because many of the expectations that people bring are from their childhood. And so we need to look at childhood unmet expectation. We are dealing with the impact of them, and we're learning how to let go. And of course, hopefully find different ways of satisfying our needs. Okay, so we change negative perception and feelings into positive ones. Okay, now, most of us are automatic, and we have a big subconscious mind, and we have beliefs that we don't even know about that drive us. So my number 3 is there change. See if you can change your subconscious conscious beliefs. Very often when you look at some people's behavior, you will know what some of the beliefs are and you can surface them. Many of the beliefs that I find people have are so automatic they don't even know they have them. So we can look at it. Now, we also know that you need to meet your yearnings. These are all questions that I think some of your clients would bring to you, or you should surface them so that you can work on them. Because sometimes they will work on too physical things, too shallow aspects of it. This is my attempt to say, when you're doing therapy, move it to a deeper aspect of it. Get away from story, move to impact, from story to impact, from impact to goals, positive directional goals, to some kind of positive energy that you create. And this list could help you in terms of achieving that. Reduce the conscious, subconscious, critical self-talk. When I have people listen to how they think and what they feel by just being quiet, they found out there was a lot of critical self-talk. And how to change that consciously so that that critical self-talk is not there, or who's behind that critical self-talk that's really talking. It's not the self. The self doesn't have, the real self doesn't have critical self-talk. It is pure essence. And so you want to look at what the critical self is all about. So you can look at pinpoint your stressors, reduce and eliminate it. What is really bothering you? Some people also need some boundaries so that you know what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And what I found most interesting in the last little while is to recommend people to have some scheduled silent time where they're just there contemplating, remembering, watching themselves. But I mean, even lower than meditation, just to be alone and to be present in their own existence and their own life energy. So I already said that. Okay. In number 10 is practice introspection. Just see how you experience yourself, contemplate and meditate. So your pathways to me are doing some of these things or teaching your clients to do some of these things and move forward to some very positive abilities of being happy. Okay. Being grateful for what you are without ego or role. Who are you? Can you be grateful? Forgive self and others. And I guess review and reflect on your values. What is important to you in terms of that? What provides purpose and meaning in terms of that? And we took a little bit of look at that. And then practice self-compassion, kindness, acceptance. You probably heard all this in your own practice in terms of helping people. So you can have a little program with your clients so that they can help themselves change the negative impact of their experience and build new ideas of managing their everyday life, or go a step further and find a way of co-creating a very genuine, congruent, harmonious energy. So my time is up in a sense, and maybe I need to stop when my time is up and see what you want to do next.
Okay. So thank you, John, for your sharing. I think it's very insightful talk, and I think we have time a little bit, just like if some people here would like to ask or any idea to share, just like one or two comments before we stop if anyone have any idea to share, I would like to invite you to share with John or ask John.
John, would you mind to explain more about transcendence in the Iceberg 5?
Okay. When in psychology, remember in psychology, we had all this behaviorism, and then we had this experience kind of thing, encounter kind of group. And then Abraham Maslow, then studied to find out if there's more than just a human experience. Is there kind of a transcendent experience? It could be called spiritual, doesn't have to be religious at all, but where you feel a connection or a merging with the universe. You almost like you lose your ego and suddenly you are everything and nothing. So the Buddhists probably would say when you go through transcendence, you become nothing. The self is gone, right? So that would probably be my understanding of transcendence from a Buddhist point, where you become everything. In the Hindu way, you become everything. You become the ocean kind of aspect of it. But in Buddhism, you could probably say you become nothing. You meaning your ego, is transcended, and your life energy and the universal life energy are connected at that moment. That's what I would say.
John, may I ask the five iceberg too? Is that compared to enlightened one?
Well, number 5, if you push iceberg 5 to the end, it's enlightenment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is
So,
yeah,
Dr.
we're
Praved,
moving into.
listen.
Go ahead.
Dr. Praved, do you have any question? Any comment?
But John, I'm so grateful for what you spent less than an hour to bridge all the Satir concept into a whole linked, insightful picture for us. I have a little more personal question for you. Can you share with us how you are being in this journey? If you can share that.
Well, yeah, I can definitely talk to you about it. That's in terms of okay. So I literally say I've had some time, right? With the COVID-19, it stopped all my work in China. I've been working there for I don't know how long, 10 years or so, and that kind of suddenly dropped. And it was getting pretty big kind of aspect of it. We had 11, 12 Satir centers. We had 2 groups of 30 trainers ready to go and train people in the Satir model. And so I finally got to be told that no more flights, stay inside. And if you come there, we'll put you in kind of a separation thing for 10 days and so forth. So I've never been gone back. So, okay, that's the context. In that context, I was at home. So here I am at home, and now what am I going to do? Well, I couldn't stop. So I don't know if you know, but I edited 3 books during that time. I actually got 4 out in terms of that. But then the other thing is I spent time with myself. Well, I think you know that many, many years ago, I went to India and studied some of that meditation. So I brought that back in terms of more practice, more experience, more closeness to it. And so then I still have the Satir model. And so I want to look at how does that kind of experience that is more transcendent, more meditative, more oneness kind of thing, how can that fit into Satir? So that's how I got more and more interested in Iceberg 5. And then I said, well, in order to get to Iceberg 5, we have to do something about Iceberg 4. And so then we looked at the numbers. I don't know. That's, if there's any more specific question, go ahead.
A deeper one would be your experience when you are experiencing at the Iceberg 4 and 5. I know that you have talked about this is a transient experience because we cannot be in that state for long. But I just want to ask you a little bit more around this area. Yes.
Well, yeah, okay. With Iceberg 4, I think I practice Iceberg 4 probably constantly, like every day. I'm an Iceberg 4 partner. I want to create my own reality kind of thing. So it's a very conscious living. What would be one way of it. I think I live very much more consciously. I'm aware, I'm in tune, I'm open at a very kind of energetic level. Okay, that provides with me with more understanding. My energy changes. So I consciously can do that. There's no bragging. I can say I can change my energy consciously, co-creating my own environment. All right. And I sometimes do it with my students. Okay, can you create humor? Well, in order to create humor, you got to have something outside. Can you create it inside? Or you want to create some bliss or some joy? Can you create it outside, inside without outside? Can you create pleasure without having to go outside? Can you do it inside? So in that sense, I think I'm doing very actively practicing Iceberg 4. In Iceberg 5, the only way I've been able to do that, I'm not taking, drugs, so the only way I've been able to do that is through meditation. And so that would take time, like time during the day where I would sit down, or time during the week where I would sit down and find time where I would really work on starting with my breathing to my changing myself so I can go beyond thought and be in a state of non-thought level. So that's but for me, those experiences are not 3 days, they could be 3 minutes or so in terms of that. I think a saint can be there probably all the time, but I'm many lifetimes away from being a saint, so I don't have that experience.
Thank you so much, John. I love you. Love you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I think the time is up right now. So as the president of Thai Satir Association, I would like to thank John, and I do really appreciate your dedication to the Satir model and the impact you have made, especially here in Thailand. It's truly remarkable. And on behalf of everyone here, I would like to thank for your time and for being such a guiding light in the community. So thank you very much. So right now I would like to stop our recording here.